Thank you for tuning in to the Transcend with M podcast. This episode is brought to you by our sponsors, BRC Insurance, the #1 insurance broker serving the Latino community in the Americas, and Savitol Virtual Assistants, serving business owners and insurance brokers across America. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Transcend with M. And with me today is Daniela Acosta-Levin, and I love Daniela. She is not only a friend, but one of our clients, and she is amazing. She's a great woman, a great supporter, and a great cheerleader on all aspects. So welcome, Daniela. How are you today?
Hey, Monica, I'm good, and you?
Good. And I'm excited to learn a little bit more about you today because this is all about you, about your story, about your becoming. So, tell our audience, who's Daniela?
Who's Daniela? Well, I was born in Peru, and I have a big family, which I absolutely adore. Like, my family is just so many memories, so many great things come from that. And so that's where I was born. I was raised there till I was probably like 10. We moved to California. From California, lived in there for a couple of years. Then we moved to Florida. We lived in Florida for a couple of years, and then we moved back to Peru again. And I lived there till I was probably 17 years old. And then, that was like the year before big thing, very exciting senior year for high school that everybody looks forward to. So it was very different, but I was a lot more reluctant to move. My parents were like, we're moving, and I was like, fudge. I stayed actually behind a couple of months or a few months to finish some things, and then moved to Florida with my family, with my parents. And it was a rough transition to move here again because I had already established a solid, I kind of just moved so many times, and I finally felt like I had established my little tribe and my group and everything. I also changed schools while I was in Peru. So then again, just another shift of people. So moving back was difficult. But it was also probably one of the great decisions that my parents have made to, take us here and, for success and everything. And I think obviously now I hope that they see that that was a good decision, despite all the suffering I made them go through.
It's never easy, right? Coming here as an immigrant, and not just that, but having the different moves, right? Like my husband grew up here, but he moved 27 times around the States. So
it might look like nothing.
When I tell him, well, we should buy another house, he's like, no, we're not.
No, okay, so the crazy thing is, like, it totally, I hate to say jaded, but it totally marks how you act about other things. Like, for me, we're actually in the process of like thinking about moving stuff, and for me it's, everybody's like, oh, kids will just adapt, and I was like, no, they will not. They will adapt, but it's more of I have it so ingrained in me that I just don't love the idea of moving around. I want to have roots a little bit. So because it's important to me, I totally project it onto my kids, because that's what moms do. So we just totally, that's part of like what makes my bias on the decision, just my own experiences, those impact what I do with my own children. It was definitely difficult. I think culturally too. I was always in an all girls school, and I had just finished in high school. I went to a mixed co-ed school, I guess they call it. So I had established an awesome group of friends. Like, it was so cool to finally be able to, have like this awesome group of friends. And I don't know. They're the same people. I don't know. Here it's different because people I think are used to moving around, and you don't really have the same people from kindergarten until high school. In Peru, most of your life, you're with the same group of people for like the entire, elementary all the way to high school. So those people like become your second family. So though I wasn't with them for that long, I
Yeah.
felt part of it. And so detaching from that was very difficult. I was into every sport. I played. I was like one of those people that, what do they call? They're like, I was good enough at most sports, so they would always
Yeah.
have a backup plan, like no matter what. Oh, she's not in the soccer team, but we need somebody for soccer. Let's call it the who, Daniela. So I would be part of, like, I would be like the pawn, like move her around, whatever. But my
Yeah.
main sport was volleyball. So when I moved here, in track and field, I did a lot of throwing. I threw javelin, I threw shot put, I threw discus. I mean, random crap like that. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is because I I totally hated life when I moved here, so I gave up on all those sports. And I didn't realize that in this
Wow.
country, if you don't pursue them in high school, then your chances of getting in college are, I mean, they
Slim.
won't
Very
maybe like
slim.
time of day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when I was past my moment of depression when I moved here, I was like always having stomach aches. I had an ulcer. My mom would have to pick me up from school. I would cry every day. I mean, it was like,
Wow.
it was hard. So when I finally moved on to college, to school, I went to school for graphic design initially.
Oh, okay.
And even though what I really wanted to do was interior design, but it's just like
Mm-hmm.
the only school was just way out of budget. So I
Yeah.
settled for graphic design. Anyway, I started trying to go back into the sports, and I don't know why that impacted me so much. Like the fact that I felt like, what a waste. I just wasted all these years. Now I'm in college. I want to go back to the sport, and the coaches would not give me the time of day. Like I literally
Wow.
would show up in their little offices, and I would be like, "Give me a chance, give me a tryout. I'd like for you to let me try out so I can see if I can be in the team." And I wasn't like the greatest athlete, but I think I was a good enough athlete that would have made the team if I would have
Hmm.
continued. So I don't know why that had such an impact on me, and even to this day, it's like a huge regret of mine. Like, and I tell my kids, I'm like, you see, don't waste your life, don't waste your time. Like, what all that year that I cried, it was just, or 2 years that I cried myself to sleep. Like, what was the point? Like, I got
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that was like something that really impacted me. I know it's like sports, but I don't know. Now unfortunately I have this like condition in my body that I don't generate collagen as much.
Mm.
So it's Ehlers-Danlos, and it's a connective tissue disorder, and it affects a lot of parts of your body. So I have hypermobile joints. I have a lot of issues like that. So now when I want to participate in sports and do now I can't do what I used to be able to do. So again, the regret, kicks a little harder there.
Interesting, interesting. So how have you been able to like overcome, right? And I know you weren't able to like play professionally or anything like that. So how did we reinvent it ourselves? Because you are a very successful individual. You are you have a very successful career. You have a very successful business. And I think it is important for people to hear like the pivoting, right? The resiliency and how, you took all that trauma that happened and converted it into something beautiful and something that can provide you not just with freedom, but also with the ability to provide to your family and not having, I mean, it's not that you don't have to worry, but your kids are not gonna go through the same hurdles that your parents went or that you went, right? So tell us a little bit about that side of the story.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously parents have a lot to do with it in terms of how they push you and educate you and everything. And I obviously give my parents a lot of credit for, you know, always pushing me to do better, and to never give up and all that. And I think a lot of it came from that. And I think, but I also know all these things that I went through, even though again many people go through, like your husband, 27 moves, that's a lot. A lot worse things are in this world, right? But I feel like it shapes you, and I feel like it teaches you lessons that if you are able to get a gold nugget from it, instead of looking at it as like, oh, oh, my life is so miserable because I don't have roots anywhere and I can just sit here and cry all day. I mean, you take a lesson
Cry a
from it,
river.
what is it that this could teach me? So anyway, that leads me to like, I think there's always like this pursuit of, there's like ambition that I have that will always, that just keeps me going and feeds me, right? So I think a lot of it has to do, I know a lot of it has to do with, I don't want to settle for half-ass. I know during my school years, I had to, work and go to school, and I always felt like I never dedicated myself fully to one thing. I was always like half-assing both, like. So I think that going through that and I don't feel like focusing on, I don't know, just trying to find my way, I guess, led me to what I have now, which is a business, and it's one thing that I'm 100% dedicated and focused on, not 10
Yeah.
things at the same time. Obviously
Yeah.
there's life, there's kids, there's always juggle, but I think that the things that pushed me through all those moments have been mostly, well, like I said, one of my parents, and just trying to, I mean, I guess it's just in me. I just don't like to. I've always been ambitious. I don't know. I always want more.
Good.
But not more like I'm always
That's
unhappy
good.
way. Like not like that. I more like I feel like I have potential to do more. Even on the moments when my confidence is crap, there's always moments where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not capable, and I just self-destroy very nicely. I do a
Yeah.
really good job at that. um, there's definitely, I still find a way, and this, I think I'm proud of myself for this because I find a way to get myself back on track. I'll
Yeah.
cry, I'll pout, I'll bitch and moan about it. And then I'll be like, all right, but what can I do about it? I still have control over what I can do about it. And so I take that
Yeah.
step. For me, a lot of it is mindset. So I started listening to podcasts, actually. I started following people that I admire. And they inspire me. And
Yeah.
it's inspiring to see. And there's always that moment when I'm just like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to be like that. Like, and again, self-distrust, I can't do that. I mean, they're like, oh my God. I mean, they're like so much ahead. It's so much
That's so
I can't
amazing.
do. And then you realize that you can. And so I
Yeah.
worked, I think, incessantly on my mindset, and that has changed my life,
Yeah.
like, percent, and gotten me to how I feel I'm doing now, which it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know, as far as like mindset goes, one of the things that I struggle with a lot, and I think a lot of people probably struggle with, again, self-confidence, looking at yourself in the mirror and loving what you see, right? And so whether you're overweight or underweight or whatever, because of that condition that I have and not being able to exercise like I felt like I wanted to, and having that restriction, I think that hindered a lot of my progress a lot of times, until I decided like I have control over some of this stuff. So I hired a PT to be able to get me strong. At the beginning, you would start and I would think, this is such a ridiculous thing that I'm doing. I'm paying so much freaking money for a PT and I can
Yeah.
barely do an ab. Like I couldn't even do an ab. And then suddenly she's like, don't worry, keep going, keep going. And I was like, always so self-defeating. My husband would help me a lot. Actually, he's great at like pumping me up and cheering me on when I need
Yeah.
it. Great support. So finally it evolved into this like little baby steps. So I believe strongly in the 1% progress thing.
Very
Um,
nice.
and I celebrate 1% progress because that is eventually 1%, 1%, 1%, you get to where you want, right? So
Yeah.
it helped me with that thing. And now I'm able to work out in the gym, something I thought I could never do again in my life. I don't take it for granted. Like I couldn't lift anything. Now I can lift weights, like there's so much. I look back and you're like, holy shit, like I didn't believe it. All I was missing all these years was just a shift in mind. That's all I needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the same that goes with the business. I felt like I was not capable. I started a business and I had a very cushy corporate job that paid well, had all these benefits, anything I could ask for. Anybody that would look at me would think I'm out of my freaking mind. They actually told me, you're out of your freaking mind. How could you leave this, and I just left it. um, and I don't think it was an easy decision, but I think it was something that, again, took a strong mindset. And so even now talking to you about this, a lot of times I doubt myself, and now I look back and I kind of have this sense of pride a little bit on myself. And it's weird because when I say that, it feels weird to say. Like I almost feel awkward
Of
saying
course, nobody likes
it.
talking about their own success
Yeah,
like that, you know?
yeah, it feels like I'm so proud of yourself. But I am, like, it's cool because now I can say that, and I don't think people, especially my mom would probably vouch for this. Like she'd probably be like, I would never hear you say that of yourself before. So it's a great thing. I mean, I've grown, so it's good.
Yeah. I think, little by little, when you look back, like even if it's on a monthly or on an annual basis, if you look back, you will be surprised how much you grow in such a short period of time, right? And then we're so blinded to our own small milestones because we think like, oh, okay, it's nothing. But
Right.
we have, like you said, we have to celebrate them because
Celebrate
if
every
if
time.
we didn't do them, who will?
Yeah.
Who will? Who will do your job, Daniela? Nobody. That's, it's your stamp, it's your business, it's your own growth. It's, today I'm lifting 5, but in the next month I want to lift 10. And even though this guy over here is lifting 100, your 10 is what matters, right? So it's like us looking into the mirror and accepting that you're whole just the way you are, and you get to where you need to get, whatever that means, so that whatever that success is, on your own pace. And that's the most important. I think we compare ourselves so much to the
Mm.
exterior that we sabotage our own success sometimes and our own happiness because we compare it to things that are not the same. Like nobody lives the same lifestyle or is the same
Yeah.
person,
And not everybody has the same timeline, right? Like
right?
everybody is a different timeline. I think I've learned that a lot, especially
Yeah.
I'm 37 now, so in my 30s, like I think I've learned a lot more about like all that
Yeah.
part, understanding that I still do it. I think everybody still does it, but I
Yeah.
think you kind of your little self-talk or person in your head says you start doing it and you catch yourself and then you stop, So a lot
Yeah.
of what has helped me too is in the mindset part of it or with anything, it's understanding that I have the power to decide what
Hmm.
I do with my day, what I do with how I feel every day, what I do, how I speak to others, how I
Yeah.
react to others, how I perceive, everything. It's up to me,
Yeah.
so I wake up every day and the first thing I say is I decide what's my day going to be like, So waking up and saying, I can decide if my day is going to be crap or not. If I want to have a crappy day, then I'll have a crappy day. That's what I decided to do. But it's nobody's fault but mine. So I think a lot of it is taking responsibility because, and I've gone to years of therapy too. Like I believe it strongly in therapy, and it's helped me navigate a lot of tough situations in my life. And I think um, one of the things I've learned that I love the most is that you have the ability to decide, but also how you react to other things. I lost my train of thought, but basically, you have the ability to shape how you want your things to be, your day to be, or your life. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Therapy for me has been a great asset and in helping me and reminding me that I am in control. And I think a lot of people forget that. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't take responsibility for their mistakes. There's like, oh, but I'm like this because my parents taught me, or I lived in this country, or I went through this, and this person died in my life, or yes, those are hardships. There's a lot of crappy things people have to deal with, but you still decide how you react and
Yeah.
how your life continues after that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the more I learned about that or realized that, the more
Hmm.
the more I've been able to get better at running my business, making decisions for myself, being a better parent, being a better wife, being a better, hopefully, daughter, and sister, whatever roles I have in my life.
Yeah. It is so funny you say that because we definitely have full control. Um, I've been here for about, I don't know, a year and change now. Let's say a year and a half. And it seems like 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that people tell me frequently is like, Monica, why don't you get upset? Why you're always smiling, right?
Mm.
And, I come back to them and I say, I wasn't always like this. It's taken me a long time to realize that how I react to things is how I control them, right? And if I get upset, if I yell, if I lose my shit, like, does that serve anybody?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
no, it's just only gonna get me more upset, more worked up, and like I'm not about to have a heart attack for nobody. So
Well,
like,
yeah, exactly. Because physiologically, there's things that happen that,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and like, yeah, do I get upset? Yes, but do I have to escalate it? No, I don't. Like, do I have to, be sad and like, react certain ways just because something happens? No. Like, I am going to smile and carry on. Doesn't mean that I don't have any feelings or that I am
Yeah.
okay, but
You're not like
it
suppressing your feelings. You're just,
no,
yeah,
it's just like,
feeling
why do I
it.
have to make everyone around me miserable with me, right? Like, we don't have to do that. So
What I
the
tell
way
my
we
kids,
react is great.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What
No,
I
that's
what I
okay.
tell my kids a lot is like, you can have a bad moment, just don't let it ruin your entire day. Like,
Exactly.
have a bad moment, but don't have a bad day. And I know I'm gonna
Yeah.
sound like a therapist right now, but like, feelings are like clouds. Feel them, experience them, be sad, be mad, be whatever,
Yeah.
but let them pass.
And then
Like,
move on.
don't sit with them and sulk, because
Yeah.
that's only going to be affecting yourself and your
Right.
body and all the stuff that happens when you feel those things long term.
Mm,
But again, it's not about suppressing them either. It's, you can feel whatever you
right.
feel. I think it's just kind of um like changing the again, the mindset of it,
Yeah.
making sense of it, and like what you said, what's the point? What am I going to gain from this? And
Right.
not engaging in things that drain your energy for no reason. If it's going to be productive to something or conducive to something, do it. But if not, then what's the point? I
It
don't
is
know.
totally true. I believe me, like 17 years ago, I had a sticky note like that one that I have behind me that said, "Do not talk to me before 11 a.m." That's
No
how
comment.
that's how nasty I was. Like, I was like, "Don't talk to me before 11 a.m." And I used to like, have these temper, right? And I think, what you said about controlling your day, the outcomes. You control your own outcomes. And yeah, I know we're focusing here about emotions and
I know.
whatnot, but it is about everything.
Yeah.
Like, how you react to a client, or how do you negotiate something, or like, you are in full control of all those outcomes, regardless of what the background is. Like, if you grew up poor, doesn't mean that you have to be poor your entire life.
Yeah.
Like, your situation doesn't define you. And I think that's what, we can learn from your story, is that, regardless of what was happening, that situation did not define that, your future. And I think it is amazing for us to, you know, think a little bit on that, because sometimes we play the victim, but there is a point where we have to decide, are we a victim, or, are we a survivor?
Yeah.
And we have to choose a role, right? We have to choose a role. And usually when you turn around, deal with what you have to deal with, and say, no, I am going to move forward, that's when you see change happening. That's when
We
you
don't give
see
each other,
success
we don't give
coming.
ourselves enough credit of what we're
Hmm.
capable of doing or
Yeah.
what we're capable of getting past or by. And again, my story is not like necessarily the most dramatic or exciting, but I know there's people that have a lot of hardships that are extremely
Hmm.
extreme, but I've heard of, and I've talked to several people that have had that, and it's still possible to have a successful future and have a successful life and have a happy life. Is it harder? Maybe, yes. But I think a lot of times it's easier to lean on an excuse than to work at it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said for years,
We're
and this is
full
on
of
a much
excuses.
level, like a much sillier level, I guess you could say. But I've always told myself, it's about the story you tell yourself too. If you ask my husband and anybody, I've always been the person that I'm known for loving to eat. I don't have any, I love food, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, I can never do any diets. You put me a nutritionist. I'm just not going to be that person. I'm just not that person. And I always tell everybody, I'm never going to be that person that's going to be like with a six pack. I may be thin just because that's my, whatever, the way I am, but like, I'm never like fit. So I always said I'm never going to be that person just because that's just not who I am. I love to eat. And the moment that I decided, or I determined in my head, I was like, I had a goal, and this sounds silly, but I had a goal that, again, I think it's like a challenge to my condition a little bit too, like my whatever, the Ehlers-Danlos, that I said, I'm going to have abs one day. I just want to have them one day. It's one of my goals. I want to have abs because I've always been like what people call skinny fat, like, oh, you're so skinny. Yeah, but so that was always like a thing.
You're so
I swear. But so now when I changed my mind, I was like, you know what? I am going to be that person. I'm going to be the person that sticks to it. And I'm going to be the person and I literally, I decided that last October. And I have been stuck with that since. And I'm
wow.
not there yet because my progress is a little bit slower than anybody else is going to the gym. I have to take it easy. But I am on my way and I'm gonna get my
I
abs.
can't wait to see
I'm
those
gonna
apps.
take a picture. No, but anyway, in a sillier version, but you know what I mean? Like my point is I made up my mind. I'm like, I'm no longer gonna be that person that just says my excuse was always I just can't do it. I can't stick to it. I just
Yeah.
not disciplined. I'm not disciplined. That was like my
Yeah.
repetitive thing that I used to say.
Oh,
Until
that's
guess
so
what? I
funny.
decided I'm gonna be disciplined. I'm gonna time block in my day. I'm gonna do these things that require
Yeah.
discipline, and I'm doing them. And it's
That's
funny because
awesome.
that has helped my confidence. And I didn't think, but when you follow through with things that you thought you were incapable of doing, your confidence just boosts.
Yeah.
I'm not
When
like,
I see you in April, I want you to do one of these and like show me the app.
thank you. All right, we're gonna take a picture, and I'm gonna be like.
We're gonna. I mean, how you can be on your bikini. That's totally fine. I will be on my one piece, feeling all hot in like in the desert, and it's gonna be great. And
That's
I'll be
totally
like Danny's abs.
there.
Then we're gonna put a 6 pack of Corona or something right next to it.
I'm gonna put that shimmer lotion on. Listen,
I love it.
no, I'm far
I
from it.
love
It
it.
is hard as hell, okay? But
I love
I
it.
am. I'm on a mission, girl. I'm telling you, I'm getting even if it's an ab, not
Yeah,
two.
it doesn't matter.
An
We're gonna get there. It's so funny. I've never been the skinny type. I am voluptuous, right? Like my mom is thick. I'm thick.
Can I borrow some of
I've
that?
I've always had like big hips, right? And Um, I went to put some. This is the detriment of leggings. Okay, leggings are the detriment of society. So I've been using leggings since COVID, right? Like like your own. I don't use sweatpants because I don't like them. But leggings are like your best friend, right? Whoever invented the leggings, like, how dare you? So
Yeah.
I went to put a pair. I was like, oh my God, I have so many jeans like in my closet and I haven't worn them in, like, I don't know, forever. So I went and I was like, let me put let me put these jeans on. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
That's an
I was
over
like,
effect.
I pull one of these, like you go to bed and you go like this, and then it's like, help me, help me.
Oh man,
So
that's
I told my husband, I was like, it is time. It is time for me to start walking again.
well,
So,
yeah, it's not about looks. A lot of it is for me. It's about health. Like we were just talking before
yeah,
this started, right? Like how from it's important what you put in your body. Like
yeah,
for me, it's all about health. Like you want to age gracefully. You don't want to be, unless something that's out of your control happens,
right.
obviously. But whatever's in my control, I want to be able to control.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a control
Yeah.
freak.
So, like, like you and I love to eat. So, but I'm comfortable in my leggings. So
Yeah,
I really didn't notice, like, unconsciously, like I just been getting thicker and thicker. Like my weight still the same,
yeah.
but I've been getting thicker. And I was like, oh my Lord, I need to go back to walking just to feel better with myself, right? It's not about, wanting to be like skinnier or whatever. But those goals were like, I just like you want to get an app. I want to fit on those pants again, like without the muffin top that I saw a couple weeks ago. I was like, whoop, this is
It
horrifying.
shows you that when you set your mind to it, and when there's
Yeah.
something, when the carrot that's dangling is attractive, you will
Yeah.
do it. Like you'll make it happen, whatever that
Yeah.
carrot is. Like, so I think, even in the business, like, I'm trying, it took me a minute to define what that carrot was. Obviously, I want to make money, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like what is that money going to get me? And it took me investing in a consultant, it took me investing in time, like sitting down for like, I don't know,
Mm.
6 months plus of
Yeah.
thinking about like my why or whatever, to be able to figure out what that carrot was for me that's
Hmm.
going to keep me going. And it's funny because like it's not really what you think it is. Like I could just sit here and say, yeah, well, I just want to make more money. Yeah, but why? Like I really,
Yeah.
like most people want more time. I want to
Yeah.
have more time to do what I want and to do what the hell I want whenever I want. So
Yeah.
I think that's really, what it's about. It's just trying to, once you get your mindset and you figure out why something that's really going to push you to do it, then all of a sudden it's just easy. And then
Yeah.
sticking to it, like no matter what, like
Yeah.
that's it's hard. You wake up
What
some
can
days.
you tell us about the importance of surrounding yourself with people that is going to push you forward? Because I know you've surrounded yourself with like-minded women and like-minded just overall business owners and people that are helping you push through, right? That you can say, I'm having this, let me go there, let me ask for help. How important is that for you, not just as an individual but as a business owner?
That's been super pivotal to me because if I settled and just surrounded myself in my comfort zone and with people that are, everybody's like me or the same thing, nothing wrong with like my friends or anything, but I think like what I was saying about the podcast and I follow people that are ahead of me,
Yeah.
that inspire me because those are the things that are gonna help me keep going.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in my comfort zone. I
Hmm.
also made that decision. I was in a very comfortable zone, and I just
Yeah.
decided not to be. I'm like, why? We're in this life to progress, to get better, to grow. Whether that's mentally, emotionally, business wise, whatever, and whatever success means to to everybody, right? So I think surrounding myself with the right people has been very important. I started investing in those things too. Those became an important investment for me because it ends up being an investment on myself. Yes, I'm not like you're just throwing money at everybody, but I feel like having a consultant that's ahead of me, having a business strategist that can help me figure out what to do for my business that's ahead of me, or a coach, or friends that are in the same mindset that I can talk about business. Like, I'm not just sitting around and talking like, hey, how would you do this weekend? Did you watch the novella? No, I don't want to talk. Can I talk about that? 100%. Let's talk about the novella. I don't know if you saw my recent post, but we were doing like tuki videos. And like, I'll go from that to like, I want to talk about business. I'm like the full spectrum.
Oh, you're too funny. You're too funny.
So I think you have to see that. Anyway, it's been really important because it's inspired, but also it's given me a lot of ideas, and it just keeps the juices flowing on things that I can do. And I think it's just motivation. I don't know, that you can talk to people about things, struggles that you're having. A lot of times it's about getting somebody you can relate with, that's dealing with similar things or that has dealt with things, and that can teach you ways to overcome those things, So get another third-party perspective, get yourself out of your own head sometimes, because we're so self-defeating sometimes, So yeah, I mean, very important. It's been necessary for my growth.
Yeah, I think it's necessary for anybody's growth. I mean, surrounding yourself with people that are not afraid to push you and to tell you the truth, right? And to be there when you really, really need it is really, really, really important.
To bitch slap you. I don't ever take criticism. Like, I mean, obviously you don't want to destroy like somebody, right? But I feel like there's you have to be able to take, some form of criticism, because if you don't, then you're never going to hear the truth. Everybody's just going to always tell you what you want to hear, and then
sugarcoat it. Yeah, sugarcoating is not good for anybody. Not good for anybody. But thank you, Daniela, for being here today, for sharing part of your story, for making me laugh a little bit. It's always we always laugh a lot. We always have a lot of fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
And I cannot wait. I'll see you like in 2 months. We're gonna see each other in April, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for listening today. And I appreciate Thank you to our guest, and we appreciate you listening and watching today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at TranscendwithM on Instagram, at Monica Dwani on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and watch a repeat of this episode in our YouTube channel. Remember, keep resilient, keep growing, and keep being empowered. We will see you next week.